So when I was a kid, I used to share a room with my brother, and before we'd go to bed, I'd tell him like these elaborate stories. And that was the moment that I kind of realized that you can create experiences and emotions and feel things you wouldn't be able to feel otherwise. And so I started writing. Haven't you ever wanted to run away? Find somewhere new, let your stresses fade and waste away. And find yourself on some new horizon, basking in the glow of a strange and beautiful sun, where there's peace and quiet and stillness. Everything seems perfect, nothing is amiss. The skies are blue, future's bright, and life itself is going alright. And so, here's the thing. I love singing and performing, but I'd rather be writing. It's just something about it appeals to me, these creating worlds and characters and people's lives. But this isn't a story that I can just write and let someone else perform. It's my journey, and so I have to perform it. So most people are kind of surprised when I tell them that one of my hobbies is writing. See, I'm a marketing data analytics major, and so I come off as more serious and analytical, I feel, and so I don't think that translates to being creative or writing. But I think that's kind of what makes writing appealing to me, is the analyzing of people's lives and things that people are saying, and really thinking about like why they're saying what they're saying and what they mean and how that relates to the overall grand scheme of things, I guess. And so that's kind of one of the things that I do in my writing, because writing is like therapy to me. You know, I'm always picking up tidbits from my own life and tidbits from my friends' lives and from my personal family's life, all of these different things, and I just write them down and analyze it. And that's sort of what my plays tend to be. So I started writing when I was in kindergarten, I believe. I just remember we would have every morning these different little areas, I guess, and they would be a different thing you would do each day, and one of them was writing. And that's the one that I was always drawn to the most, which is funny because I couldn't read when I got into kindergarten, and I definitely couldn't spell my name right. So I guess it was just the desire to tell stories and entertain people, I guess. And I remember even more after that, when I was in 4th grade, I wrote this stupid family sitcom, and I wrote like an episode or two of that, and I made my friends act it out with me at recess. And TV was kind of my first love, really, writing at least for it. And that never really went away. In fact, as I got older, it just grew. So when I was in 6th grade, I was this nerdy little 10-year-old who wore wireframe glasses, this ugly red jacket all the time, and I had a newfound fascination with Japanese comics and anime. A love which has not gone away, as you can probably tell by the fact that I own a lot of manga. But one series I really loved in particular was a series called One Piece. And it's about this kid who goes out to sea to become a pirate. He meets amazing friends, has adventures, all of that. And 10-year-old me thought that was so cool. So when I was in middle school, manga and anime sort of showed me how grand and epic storytelling could be. Because when you watch an anime or read a manga, the stakes are always so impossibly high. And that's very similar to how it is in theater. And so it lit a fire in me to want to write stories that were as grand and epic as that. And so the thing is, when I was on winter break back in December and January, my family and I caught COVID. And I hadn't read One Piece in like 7 years. And it's still going on, I just hadn't stayed up with it. And so I decided, hey, I'm bored. I'm going to go ahead and reread the entire series and get them from the library. I have most of them. So that's what I did. And in about 3 weeks, I read 1,008 chapters, which at the time was the current chapter. But as I got closer to catching up, I realized that it wasn't just because I was bored and wanted something to do. It was also kind of an escape from my stresses, debts, diseases. Anything that's going on right now was kind of an escape from all of that. And I sort of realized that that's kind of how writing is to me as well. It's sort of an escape from everything else. You can sort of hole yourself away in this different world where things can go better than they are now or worse. And it's like your own little universe that you get to decide how things end and how things turn out. Now that I think about it, maybe I don't want to be a writer. Maybe I just want to go out to sea with my closest friends and have crazy adventures around the world. Everything's crazy. Flat freaking crazy. At least that's what I hear. And the story is crazy, but it's balanced, it's nimble, it's crystalline clear. There's harmony, logic, you can't help but read, so I don't read my doubts, or my debts or disease. You scan through the pages and go through the whole story and you read. And everything else goes away. Everything else goes away. Everything else goes away. So in high school, I ended up turning to theater rather than film, just because it seemed a little bit more achievable and, there were opportunities for me to sort of get myself out there. And that was also when I started collaborating with my brother. So my brother and I both went to a high school that sort of specialized in the fine arts, and so he went for music, vocal performance, and I went for theater. And he's pretty talented as a composer, even if he is new. I feel like he has a good ear. And so we were trying to think of how should we collaborate? What type of a musical should we write? And we had written a play a couple years back before he had gotten to high school, and it's about this alien who escapes from a government institution, pretty much kidnaps a therapist, befriends her, but at first he kind of kidnaps her until she realizes that, oh, this is what's actually going on. And then basically trying to escape this authoritarian government. And so we were like, so how did this alien end up on Earth in the first place? And boom, that was our musical idea. We called it Silly's Origins, because Silly was the name of the alien in the show. And we wrote it, and we wrote it in about 6 months. And it was pretty good, but after a little bit of time, the next year, I looked at it and I was like, hey, we should really sort of refine this a little more, make it a little more sophisticated. And so we changed it up a little bit, renamed it The Final Lullaby, and that was that. But the issue is that, when you rewrite a musical, you rewrite the book, and then you have to rewrite the music and lyrics. Now the thing is, I wrote the book, so rewriting that wasn't an issue. But my brother was writing the music and lyrics, and he hadn't done anything for this new revision. Honestly, I kind of wish someone would ask us about how that went, because I'd imagined it goes something like this.
So tell me about your musical.
Well, it's about this family, and they're dealing with a bunch of common family issues. You know, they're dealing with the lack of money, they're dealing with the children wanting their independence, and it comes to a point where the mother in the family, Rachel, ends up leaving because she sort of feels like she's not being appreciated enough, and she kind of wants to find her own way in the world, you know? And so the children are taking that opportunity to sort of find their independence as well.
That sounds very interesting. So you write the book, he writes the music, and you both collaborate on the lyrics? Yeah, basically. So how do you two work together?
How do we work together? Well, he goes, and I go. And soon we're humming along, and that's called writing a song. Then he goes, and I go. And the phone goes, and he goes, yes, Brian, Brian, this is best friend Brian, calm down, Brian, click, sorry, Austin. So I go, and he goes, and I go, and soon we're tapping away. Sorry, Austin. Ada.
Yes, Ada. I can see this though. Ooh, Ada, is it something about Brian?
Are you gonna break up? Well, you're not breaking up. Will you take a break?
Hold on, Ada.
Yes, Brian. Wait, Brian. Put you on hold.
I'm back, Ada. I got an update.
Ooh, Ada, will you tell him to leave? Will you work on yourself so he's not leaving? Will you just calm down? And his telephone rings and the gossip's told, and the rest of us, he keeps on holding. He's in the story movie.
He's now in preparation.
Right? So I play at home with my books and kids, and I wait to hear some music bits, and I've got the new hobbies. I'm in a meditation, right? He drives off to Shenandoah.
I just got to make my point. That's the story of the way we were. Me and Nathan and Smith.
So you don't work well together? Well,
No, it's not that. It's just that we've been working on this project for so long. And it just feels like we haven't actually gone anywhere. And every time I ask him, how's the music going? It's always,
I'm busy.
it's that. I'm busy.
School?
That's also true. And I mean, I get that. We're both struggling. You know, we're both dealing with classes and work and the pandemic. We're just trying to keep our head above the water. So do you have any other projects? He does! Because his telephone rings and notifications buzz, and I really don't know what he does, but he's always doing something.
Not our musical thing, right?
So I think, okay, and I start to play, and he somehow knows us right away. It's the ring! Hey, buddy, want to write a show? Got a great idea. Well, it's about this guy who gets revenge on bullies, and his best friend Chrissy has a willing accomplice, and they beat the bullies, but at what cost? So there I am, extending Noah. Can't do anything but think. Back in business, and I mean just that. Back with Ethan M. Smith Inc. It's very sneaky how it happened. Much more sneaky than you think. First you go to college out of town. Next you're Ethan M. Smith. Oh my god, I think it's happened! Stop me quick before I sink! One last try and then I can't write it. In case you didn't notice, this is my first time talking about this, and my last. No, here's the point, whatever happens, then we'll all go have a drink. That's the guy, I love the fella inside. Quick, Brian, get the president, there's a crazy man on my laptop screen. Inside. Inside. Ethan M. Smith. Don't bother asking me to do anything, you already have. Hey! Ethan and I did end up working on our musical eventually. We finished the draft of this revised version, and that was when the real test came, which is getting it out there. And so, every year, each department of the performing arts has their own senior night. So it was going to be my senior night, my senior theater night. And one thing I really wanted to do was get this show up on its feet. At least just hands, scripts in hands, reading and singing along with the story, just having fun and showing it off. And I submitted it to my high school teacher, my drama teacher, and I was really hoping that she'd like take a look at it, give us some feedback, anything like that, and maybe help me try to get it up there. But honestly, I don't even think she looked at it. And I didn't get the kind of encouragement that I thought I really needed from her. And so I think that was the moment I realized that this is going to be a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. And it took me a while to start writing again after I graduated. I think, first 3 years of college it was very busy and whatever, but even if I wanted to write, I had no inspiration, and really there was no motivation. It was just, I want to write again. I want to feel like I did when I was writing in high school. And I think it's funny how this musical my brother and I created sort of ended up being what brought me back to writing. And so, beginning of this year, school year in September, I sort of looked at it again and was like, you know what? Let's change the whole thing. They're not aliens, they're just people in a small Midwestern town dealing with very similar issues to us. And I think doing that made it more personal to me and to him, and I think it became something that we could be really proud of. But I don't know if my writing journey will have a happy ending, though. I don't know if this new version of A Final Lullaby, which we've named The Bring, I don't know if it'll really be seen by anyone. I feel like I just don't have enough practice with it. I don't have enough skill. I mean, I have experience doing it, but I just don't know if I'm ready yet. Because when you write, there's this expectation that you send it to companies seeking submissions, or to festivals or workshops or whatever. I just feel like I don't belong in those spaces. Like, I'm not passionate enough, or I'm not good enough, or I'm too young, or any number of things. But I got time. Maybe I can build my confidence up, find my motivation again, and get better. Because that's all I can do, right? And I'm still young, I got plenty of time. First play, simply terrible. Next play, the worst. The rest are just unbearable. What to tackle first? Till I've got possibilities, though I'm horribly square. I see possibilities underneath. There's something here. Dialogue like an amateur stories. Oh no, I'm not quite a connoisseur, but this trash has to go. Still, I've got possibilities. Let's give it another try. I see possibilities, maybe more than meets the eye. Don't give up hope. Come on, unbend. Why don't I try to write again? Maybe I'm improvable. It can't take long. Mountains can be movable if the spirit's strong. I've got possibilities, took introspection to tell. I see possibilities if I get out of my shell. I won't be shy when this is through. Come on and roar, you tiger, you. Somewhere way down deep in me there's hope. No doubt, it's just time to bring it out. I've got possibilities, maybe even a lot. Red hot possibilities, why be shy at abilities? There are possibilities I don't even know I've got. So I mentioned earlier that my brother and I sort of got back into writing the show, which we've called The Brink now. And when we were working on it in September, we were trying to think of a way to open the show. And I was just sort of thinking, and so pretty much at 2 a.m. I wrote my first song and wrote the lyrics for Lullaby, which is our opening number. And I sang the first part of the song at the beginning because I sort of felt like it encapsulated that feeling of when you're writing, you're sort of discovering new worlds, and I just loved that aspect of it. And then I wanted to sing the last part of it now because, you know, like all children, So I mentioned earlier that my brother and I sort of got back into writing this show back in September. It's called The Brink now. And when we were working on it earlier this year, we were trying to think of a way to open it that would make sense and make the audience get a feeling for what the show is about. And so at 2 a.m., I wrote my first song and wrote the opening number for our musical, which we called Lullaby. And I sang the beginning part of it in the beginning of the show because it sort of encapsulates that feeling of wanting to run away and explore new places, and I feel like that's sort of what drew me into writing in the first place. And so I figured it would be fitting to sing the last part of the song because a writer is like a parent, and they're just preparing their work for the real world, you know? And it's just comes a point where the writer has to let go and just let the work speak for itself. And so that's why I wanted to sing this part of the song. And the point of the song is that little bits of it get played throughout the show as like a sort of tie-in, I guess is a good way to put it. And you know, it sort of expresses that feeling of like love and feeling like you're being called away somewhere else, and I think it sort of ties everything really nicely together. Maybe time itself would grant me another day to be with you, to let me hold you and let me stay a little longer here with you, but I'm not here to stay. Time is passing and somewhere else is calling me away. And I've resigned myself to simply love and nurture you until I go and watch you prance along into the sunlight. I'll watch as we split ways and know I've led you closer to slipping past the horizon and finding somewhere new. There you go, kid. Time for you to see the world.
I can't be shy when this is true. Come on and roar, you tiger, you! Somewhere way down deep in me there's hope. No doubt, it's just been asleep in me. Time to bring it out. I've got possibilities, maybe even a lot. Red hot possibilities, why be shy abilities? There are possibilities I don't even know I've got.